crime, security, wildlife. On board with the Miami Water Cops. Today, armed and dangerous, the Special Ops trainees face the final stress test. Divers in danger. The Wildlife Patrol have cause for concern.
And they're going to kill the guy or lose a leg or lose an arm, and we don't want that to happen.
And death in Millionaire's paradise. Florida's worst ever boating accident.
To operate a boat in that manner was the equivalent of a reckless disregard for the safety of himself and others.
It's the final day of the Special Ops Scout Swimmer course. These two guys are training to operate as spies in a marine environment.
Live rounds. Both weapons are filled with ammunition barrels.
Rick Day, a federal agent. He's worked undercover for real, but wants to keep up with new techniques. And Jason Cherry, an adventure junkie who hopes to become a professional undercover agent. Last time, they successfully infiltrated a marina by night and by day to gather intelligence. Now it's the final stress test, the defensive survival exercise. How will the trainees react when their lives are at risk? Instructor Dave Kellerman briefs them.
Okay, it's called the defensive survival exercise. As a scout swimmer, you're not going to normally be detailed to go in and to perform a direct action mission against a target, but you may be compromised by a bad guy. You may have to defend yourself. What we're going to do is we're going to have Rick go first. We're going to be one person in the water at a time. Don is going to be in the pilot house. He'll play the bad guy. And when we get all set up, Don's going to give you a signal. He's going to walk out the pilot house. He's going to say, "I'm ready to go." Then he'll come back in the pilot house, and 10 seconds later, the exercise will be on. You'll be on the side of the hull, and he's going to come out and give you some type of verbal signal. "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And at that time, you should be drawing your gun because you know you're at the bad guy's boat and you've been compromised. He's not going to come out with his gun drawn and get the drop on you. He's not going to discharge his ammunition in your direction either. You're going to be the only one firing.
Don Edwards prepares the guns for this exercise. The blue barrel is for training purposes. Like this, the gun isn't a lethal weapon. They'll be shooting simunitions, simulated ammunition.
It's going to be a stress test for them to see if while they're in the water and cold, they can draw their weapon and fire a couple shots at an adversary on board a vessel. That person is going to be me. It's kind of scary to have a real gun pointed at you, even if it is unloaded. So we're going ahead and using the blue barrel just so there's no question as to whether it's safe or not.
North Miami. This is boat cop domain for the Florida Marine Wildlife Patrol. Officer Karen Bergholm is on the lookout for crime on the water.
I've been on the department 15 years. I grew up here in Miami, and I worked about 8 years up in Northeast Florida, and then I transferred back home, and I've been here going on 8 years. It's a great place to work. It's a great job. I mean, this is my office. How many other people could say that? And my main job out here is to force the manatee zones, the idle speed zones, which there's several of them out here.
And as Karen patrols these zones, she's alerted to a potentially dangerous situation. Divers, not displaying a warning flag. Without it, oncoming boats could easily hit them, even kill them.
Hey, how about putting a dive flag up, man? I need to see you down there. Okay. Get out of the water, right now, or I sight you. All you gotta do is run to Kmart and go buy one, man. I come back out and you're here, I'm gonna write both of you up, okay? If I don't know he's there and I say I was pulling right next to that boat, I'd have run over it. If I see the dive flag, that's a warning to me to slow down and take a wide berth around whatever activity's going on down there. It's a safety issue. That's all it is. It's just a safety issue. Somebody that doesn't know the waterways is gonna, just be flying through a canal or something, and they're gonna kill the guy or lose a leg or lose an arm, and we don't want that to happen.
Fast boats are not just a danger to divers. Populating the water here are the near-extinct manatee. a slow-moving sea mammal. A quarter of them are killed by speeding boats and jet skis. And the speed-loving, pleasure-seeking jet skiers are an increasing problem.
A lot of them think that because they don't have a propeller that they can't hurt a manatee in a manatee zone or anywhere. And basically, the damage that a jet ski can do to a manatee just by hitting it with blunt trauma, besides the fact that the operator is going to go flying once he hits the manatee anyways, is no excuse. It's no excuse for them. They have to abide by all the same laws. They're considered a vessel, so all the vessel laws apply to them.
And Karen's just spotted a jet skier who's violating the idle speed zone. He's in for a hefty fine. She's going to chase him down. Fort Lauderdale, just 22 miles north of Miami. This is the yacht capital of the world. Here, they don't drive to restaurants, bars and clubs. They go by boat. A millionaire's playground. Residents here own sprawling waterside homes, fast cars, and that most essential mode of transport, a luxury yacht. But this perfect paradise was brutally shattered one night in a deadly drink-drive boat crash. Deputy Sheriff George Ferguson was one of the first at the scene of what was to become Florida's worst ever pleasure boat accident.
This was by far the case of a lifetime for almost anyone that was involved in it. And quite honestly, I'll never expect to see another one like it.
It was at this dockside that the fatal boat crash occurred, late at night in November 1997.
I got a call at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. There'd been a boating accident. The moment the accident occurred, the Coast Guard was called, the Fort Lauderdale police were called, the sheriff's office was called, and at that time they knew that there were at least 2 people dead. When they arrived, we basically cordoned off the area and no one could come north or south after that point. We knew there was another vessel involved, but we didn't know where it was. At that time, we put some divers down, and they went down and confirmed that that was the vessel that was in the accident.
This is the footage filmed by the first diver at the scene. This boat had been shattered into pieces. But the true horror of the accident was yet to be revealed. The driver of this sonic speedboat was 56-year-old multimillionaire Stan Cameron.
Cameron had been out for the evening with a girlfriend. He'd purchased 3 bottles of wine, consumed at least one of those bottles before getting on his boat, and he proceeded out for the evening. That journey took him to the south part of Fort Lauderdale, where he went to a restaurant where evidence revealed that he ordered another bottle of wine. The witnesses described him as appearing to be impaired or intoxicated, as well as his girlfriend. And there was great concern as to Mr. Cameron's sobriety. The witnesses who last saw Cameron and observed him to be traveling approximately 50 to 60 miles an hour northbound around a blind curve. At the same time, a 31-foot Tierra was traveling southbound on the west wall of the Intercoastal. The boat in total had 6 people aboard. Within seconds, Cameron's boat impacted the Tierra. As it entered into the cabin, it destroyed the cabin, the operator's position. As it became airborne, it continued to fly above and beyond the remainder of the Tierra. Cameron's boat continued another 1,000 feet northbound on the Intercoastal, whereby it hit the western wall, rode up on the wall, and fell back into the water, dead in the water.
In a split second, it was all over.
The first divers down probably had the most unnerving feeling. They went down and they were looking at a boat that no one had seen yet. We still, at that time, could not determine how many people were actually on the boat. You know, there could have been 30 people on board. We had no idea because no one on the boat had survived the accident. So we really weren't sure if there were any victims that we hadn't found yet.
The divers were to discover a total of 6 bodies underwater. It was a harrowing 8-hour task.
And some of the divers that were down on the scene actually knew one of the victims. A lot of us had spoken with them. We knew them, and that night it really didn't hit. It wasn't until the next day that you realized, you know, who it was and you know, the finality of it.
In part 2, how the case changed legal history. The Special Ops Scout Swimmer course. These guys are training to be clandestine spies in the water, a job that will put their lives at risk. In the final exercise of the course, they'll have to defend themselves in the water. Rick goes first. He needs to approach the boat with stealth, not making a sound. His job, to place a listening device on the boat. Don is playing the role of the boat captain. When Rick is discovered, he must draw and shoot.
What are you doing?
It's over in a flash.
I got a couple of hits on me.
Gotcha. Okay, got that gun dialed in. Good job, man.
Got me twice that I'm sure of. Once in the arm.
Yeah, I was trying to shoot it out of your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were. Okay, you ready to get out, bro?
Unless you want me to do anything else.
No, I think it looks good, dude.
Okay.
Next, it's Jason's turn. He's never done this before.
Yeah.
Kellerman runs through the risks.
When you get water in the chamber, it has a tendency to cause a hydraulic lockup, maybe on the first, second, or third shot. If you keep the weapon in the water while you're firing, it'll exacerbate that situation. One way you can mitigate that is to tape the end of the barrel to prevent water from going in the barrel while you're in the water. The idea is, though, is not to fire with the gun submerged, get the gun up and out of the water. This is where revolvers tend to be a little more reliable than semi-automatics.
Jason makes his way towards the boat. But when he's discovered, will he be ready to draw his gun and fire?
Hey, what are you doing down there? What?
Jason's aim is spot on.
Definitely gonna have to wash these pants. I think I got 4 hits in the legs.
You gotcha? Yep. Good job, dude. Dude, that was excellent. How'd you feel?
Feels good.
All right, bud, come on out. Unless you want to do it again, or you like, you're done? I think you're done. Let's get out. I think Rick here has been teaching you on the side because you were a little too quick.
You're all over me, man.
Yeah. I think Rick has been coaching you.
He got me about right here on my vest.
Buddy,
He hit me here, here, and here. All 4 of his rounds hit me.
I enjoyed it. It was the first time I've ever had any training of that sort. But I definitely enjoyed it.
Final exercise successfully completed. The trainees discuss how the course went.
You did real well, having no experience. You did an excellent job. Any comments?
I thought it was a great course. I got what I came down here to. I just wanted to get exposure, you know, to the security field.
No, I enjoyed it. If you train always in an easy environment, then you're not going to be prepared for what you might face suddenly in real life.
I enjoy training guys like you because you're into it. For instance, look at the experience of Rick here. He's been around for a long time in the water environment, and everything he had to say was added to the training that we gave, and it was great.
Downtown Miami. Wildlife Patrol woman Karen Burkholm is chasing down a speeding boater in a manatee zone.
How you doing? through the manatee zone like that, sir? Huh? Can you answer that question for me?
No.
Oh, you don't know? You know it's a manatee zone? Yeah? Okay.
Despite being pulled over by the police, this guy seems unfazed.
I make mistakes, so I pay.
He was speeding. He knows it's a manatee zone. He admitted it. So I'm gonna issue him a $65 citation.
Manatee infraction.
Yeah, $65. Pay it in 30 days. Okay. Okay. Driver's license, sir. You guys have a great day. Okay.
Thank you. No, you're funny, man.
Have a safe day. How's that?
I'll go home because you already 14 years. I never killed nothing, no nobody.
Tonight, 1850 anyway. That was weird. It was almost too easy, kind of freaky, but he knew he broke the law. What, you know, he knew it. And then apparently I ruined his day because he's going back home, so he's doing my job.
Speedboats, playthings of the rich and famous. But in 1997, it was a speeding powerboat that caused the deadliest accident on the recreational waters of Florida. Everyone involved in the tragic Cameron case was profoundly affected by it.
The Cameron case touched everybody. I let this case affect me in a manner that typically prosecutors don't get involved. It was very difficult to avoid that, considering the contact with the large number of children, grandchildren, wives, mothers, sons, and daughters that were lost as a result of Stan Cameron's conduct.
I think my best description of the accident is the impossibility of an accident occurring like that. First of all, it was 6 people dead, and second of all, it was a 45-foot boat went through a 31-foot boat, and it just, you know, it just kind of really boggles your mind thinking that how could that happen?
It took the prosecution many months to piece together the precise events of that fatal night.
Witnesses that observed Cameron coming up prior to the crash, they described him using a spotlight. It was dark, a dark evening. He appeared to be having trouble navigating his way up that evening, and this was at idle speed. Ultimately, he powered up to 50 miles an hour.
To build the case against Cameron, the prosecution employed the latest technology. Aerial footage clearly shows the path taken by Cameron's speedboat that night.
He was last seen by any eyewitness going north past this corner, where he turned wide and began heading north along this western wall, and the impact took place approximately this area.
The Tierra, with the licensed captain on board, was driving where he should have been at the speed he should have been. The 45-foot Sonic was on the wrong side of the intercoastal, traveling at a speed almost 3 times what he should have been traveling at.
In this case, there was extraordinary efforts to preserve the underwater crime scene as well as the surface crime scene and document it before any environmental effect took place. That was extremely important. In fact, it was a key in establishing that Stanley Cameron, in his impaired state, was driving on the wrong side of the road. If that was not documented appropriately, then our argument or our suggestion to a jury 2 years later that he was on the wrong side of the road could have never been established credibly.
Crucial to the case against Cameron was unique graphic animation showing how the crash happened.
This was only the second time in the state of Florida that an animation had been used in a criminal case, And this is the first time in a boat crash. And throughout the country, they've been referring to our cases as authority to use the animations. So the animation itself was, in this case, extremely important in assisting the jury to understand what happened in an extremely complex case.
And it showed the extraordinary speed at which the accident occurred. After 2 years, in August 1999, the Cameron case finally came to trial, here at the county court.
Most people thought that the money would make the difference, that he would probably get off because he had money and he had a good lawyer.
It was the state's position that Mr. Cameron was driving a motor vehicle that was a 1,500 horsepower car, without headlights, without brakes, coming around a blind curve in the pitch dark. And it was our position that that type of conduct was evidence that his judgment clearly was impaired. To operate a boat of that nature in that manner was the equivalent of a reckless disregard for the safety of himself and others.
After one of the most expensive trials in Broward County history, costing $250,000, the jury finally reached their verdict.
Mr. Cameron was ultimately charged with 6 counts of manslaughter, 1 count of causing serious bodily injury to his girlfriend, and 1 count of causing property damage to the Tiara. After an extraordinary sentencing hearing, Mr. Cameron was sentenced to 85 years.
It seems like a lot of time that the gentleman got 85 years in prison. But the old adage is, he's still alive. The 6 victims, won't even get a chance, to say hello to their kids again, or their parents, or their wives, or whatever. So even though the guy went to jail, you really don't think that, the punishment meets the crime.